The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Welcome to episode 4 of Work the Left Side. Thank you for coming back. Hope you've enjoyed the previous episodes. If you haven't had a chance to watch them yet and this is your first time, go back. There's some cool interviews with some of the best of British wrestling. On this week's show though, it is a Kris Travis tribute show. So I'm joined by Mikey Rose, who's also known as Mikey Van Riot on the wrestling scene, and Dean Mitchell, who and both of them have done a shed load of work for British wrestling and charity and Cavendish Cancer Care. Dino does the Soccer and Spandex every year, which basically brings together wrestlers and fans just to have a kick about. It features guys like Joseph Connors, Tyson T-Bone, Madman Manson, and plus loads more. Ashton Smith, Lana Austin, Tel Bannum, lots of guys involved in that. And yeah, but we are basically here this week to talk about and share stories of the late, great Kris Travis. And that's the purpose of this week's show. So hope you enjoy it. It was a good laugh. There was laughter. There's a few tears, but it was all worth it. So enjoy. Come back next week and see what we've got in store for you then. So, but until then, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Hit notify, so obviously you know when we are dropping new content. Follow us on Twitter at Work Left, and search Work the Left Side on Facebook to join the group. Basically, join us for a bit of a chit chat. Any future stuff you want to see, leave it in the comments. I do want to hear from you guys. I want to encourage a bit more participation, bit of a chit chat. Let's talk. Let's get this stuff done. So, yeah, enjoy, and I'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye-bye. Episode 4 of The Left Side. This is basically going to be a tribute show to Kris Travis. Obviously, massive impact on British wrestling, massive impact on anyone who knew him. I'm joined this week by Dean Mitchell and Mikey Rose, two people who knew him very, very well, really close. I'm going to kind of take a back seat where I'm just going to let these two entertain you with stories. But I do want to big up all the work that these two guys have done for charity and British wrestling over the last few years. So I will bring that up at some point. I will ask you some questions about it. But yeah, so introduce yourself, guys.
Go on, Dino.
I'm Dean Mitchell, Soccer and Spandex CEO, as they say. Doing it for 6 years, but we've only done 4 events because of the situations. But hopefully we just have the all clear so we can do it this year as well now. And yeah, go on then.
Yeah, tennis on to me. Cheers, bud. I'm Mikey Rose, known as the wrestler Mikey Van Riot. I'm not going to give myself a title like CEO, you git. There's going to be a lot of just random giggles for no obscure reason between me and Dino. But yeah, between myself and a guy called Dave Stewart, we're the guys who are behind One More Round, the charity show what we do yearly, but in honour of Trav and his charities.
Awesome. Yeah, so obviously you two guys have just been, you do a lot of good stuff. When obviously the Global Bastard's not about and you can do what you do it really well. So loving the t-shirt, Mikey. I'm sure they will before you're doing one more round as of when you can do. Are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're talking to Dave Stewart a couple of days ago, and we have got a provisional date in mind for one more round. We're not going to tell it right now for fear of doing the the Brit Rest Fed. We've got dates. No, we can't do them yet. Just that is we were saying we don't want to do that. Let's wait and see what happens. But if the guidelines are anything to go by, and if they stick to the promise of the time scale, yeah, it's looking promising. Very promising in the second half of the year. But as we know, with the Rona, we have to play a lot by ear.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned before, Dino, that barring everything going all right, and were you looking at sort of about August, September time? For soccer?
If everything goes well with the guidelines and they all get dropped in June, we're gonna go as usual, like July, August, and see if I can get the arena booked as soon as I can. Because as soon as I get the all clear with the arena, that's it. I'm booking the date. That's it straight away, and we go from there. And hopefully all systems go. And
are you coming out with this time, Dino?
Am I what?
Are you going to come out afterwards?
No. I still remember them days. No chance. No way. I keep getting invited out, and I'm like, oh, come on. I'll be 52 by the time we get spandex this year. Dear me.
I'll be 40.
God, I wish I were 40.
Yeah, you're coming out. I keep on trying to get Dino to come in on some of these nights out. He's kind of got a taste for it when we used to go for the after PCW parties, but that's like a mere fraction of it. He's that were enough, weren't it?
Yeah. It scare you, did? Was it just too much?
I just see the amount and I'm going, I ain't done this in about 20 years. Hold on a minute. Liver, are we listening? Liver, are we communicating here, Liver? Say no at all times. Say no.
Yeah.
The
best one, first time I noticed about Dino, well, the PC, coming back to the PCW night out.
Knew it said this.
Dino had not. This is no. I've saved this one. I thought I'm not going to. I'm going to wait until I do this just to remind Dino of it. But we both were a bit worse to wear, and Stephen Flood got a picture of us where it looked like either I was blowing Dino or he was blowing me. Because we were both tired, and it were a really well-timed photo. But the one for me was Dino let me bunk over in his hotel. But it's like, thanks, spare bed. At one point, Dino undertaken out of nowhere, complete bolted upright, looked around. I think he was trying to assess that I was still in the room because he didn't even look at me. He was like looking into space and then fell back down to sleep. That full on undertaken, and I didn't sleep for another hour because I thought, yeah, Dino's going to get me in my sleep.
Yeah. Too many memories of that weekend in Preston. Too many.
It was a place where, it was all the shows that went on were quality. Been to Preston loads of times, but the after party I could always imagine just being rambunctious. I say.
Well, the tribute show that Kris had when they did the tribute show for Kris in January, that was just let's put it this way, that was one of the nights I wish I remembered, but I don't. So I really do wish. But that was one hell of a night, that one. That was a famous one where me and Kris met for the first time. So face to face as it was. That were cool.
Was that the one where was it when Masters and took on Kirby? Was. You know why that's memorable for me? Flood turned up to so backstage with Trav, just having a chat, and then Flood just turns up with this like massive wad of cash. And it's like the door taking. So he's like, oh, he gives it to Travis, and it's like, I'm not kidding, it's like that thick of notes and stuff like that. So he says, oh, there's still more to come, but you take that with you. And like Trav's going out and telling me this, Mikey, you look after this. And I'm like, what? And it was, I couldn't settle down for him most of the night because it's like, I had a bulge on the side of my leg of probably a couple of £1,000 worth of notes. I mean, I took it home with me, and I had to take it home with me and everything because I was leaving midway through the night and Trav was staying over. And I said, don't ever put that pressure on me again. He goes, what? Did you count how much money were there? And he was like, no, there were thousands, mate. You were asking me what with thousands, and I was bricking it, even though it was constantly in my pocket. I was like constantly shaking it. Don't lose the charity money. Don't be that dickhead. Don't lose the charity money.
That's a bit too much pressure. I've been exactly the same as you. I was like, no, can't chill out, can't relax, can't get too drunk. But you pull something out of your pocket and all the money goes everywhere.
It would be like a scene out of a 90s rap video if that happened with that one that he had there.
Did that with spandex. First one of spandex, and like got all the money in the suit, got all the money together from the day, and it was just pouring in from everywhere. And I said to my wife, I went, where's money? She went, you've been carrying it in the suitcase all the way home. I went, why didn't you tell me? She went, I weren't going to tell you that you had all that money in your suitcase. I said, because as far as you was concerned, it was with me. And it weren't, it was in your suitcase. And then when I got home, I counted it, there was 2,000. I was like, what? You're kidding me. So, but, best way, don't tell me I've got money. Don't do it.
It's the pressure, man. So, yeah, just like I say, I'm going to take it back to this one, man. I'll let you two
no.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. What's the... Obviously, I would say Travis's matches against Devitt and Masters were probably two of my favourites on the higher profile matches. But certainly probably got some smaller venues, some sort of mess ups, some cock up stuff.
The first time I saw Kris was my first Brit wrestling show. Ben Old at Southside said, come to St. Nate's, it's the first anniversary show. And he says, and I didn't know any wrestler at all. I couldn't name one on the card. So I'm watching it and I get introduced to this character called Madman Manson's and his antics in the ring. And then all of a sudden, goes through everything, all the usual guys. I see Rockstar Spud, Keith Myatt, and all these others. And then we said, the match of the year from last year was Kris Travis versus Martin Kirby. So I went, all right. And then Kris comes out from the center of his own personal interest, which went, hey, what? What was that? And that flicked a switch. And then he walks around the ring and he grabs this kid's hat. And it weren't a kid, we were about 20s, and it was a Trilby hat. He then decides to walk around all the arena at St. Nate's with his hat on his head. And this kid is following him going, I want my hat back. Give me my hat. I want my hat. I want my hat. Give me my hat. He walks all the way around the arena. Kris then puts him sit back down, takes the hat off and went, yeah, here you go, and wipes it all over his oily body and throws it straight in his face. And I went, I love that guy. That's my first memory of Kris.
Set a good example there.
He's got Trav written all over it.
Yeah.
He should be grateful he didn't drop it down his tights, so that was the usual goes.
I thought I was going to say, to be fair, I thought I was expecting it to go down the front of his trunks or something at some point.
I didn't know who he was. When I asked him for a picture the next time I saw him, and he said, that accent's familiar. I went, yeah, from Sheffield. He went, so am I. Are you a pig or an owl? I went, I'm an owl. He says, good, because if he was a pig, you weren't getting a photograph. And I'm like, okay. And I've still got that picture. Yeah, awesome time, that one. Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll go off the back what Dino said there about the first time. First time I probably saw Trav was on like a can't remember what the company was, but this is like very early 2000s Brit Rest. I think it was a club called the Sherringwood or the Sherwood in Sheffield, and I saw him there, and that's how I obviously saw the matches. A lot of the people everyone come to know over the years were on those shows. That was like the first time I saw him. Probably won quite a couple of few shows with him leading up to and probably nothing more than like the handshakes and everything. That kind of stuff. The typical wrestlers, hello, how are you doing, handshake, all that kind of thing. The first time I started, I'd say we started to pick up a friendship was we had done a match on a company called NWL, and I was going through that mode where I was trying to do anything I could do to impress, like doing it as much as I can. So I just took it. I'd just been in like a gauntlet match, and I took a heart punch. That was the finish from a guy who was equally my size. So tried to pump everything, sell everything, and I thought I'm going to crawl on my hands and knees all the way to the back, and I crawled all the way to the hands and knees. And first person there was Travis. He goes, "You all right?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he goes, "Are you sure you're all right?" He goes, "Why?" I wouldn't look at your gear, mate. And I looked at it, and like I picked up everything along the way on the floor, like sweet wrappers, chewing gum, and everything was just attached to my knee pads. And that's what I think where the friendship started from there, really, and just getting to know each other from there. In fact, I can tell I might go and leave down to one. I can tell you a really little funny one where I nearly made Trav wait again, an NWO show. These were run by Brad Taylor and Aaron's Mega Slam, and so this show got cancelled. So we're just hanging around this working men's club in Rotherham, and a lot of people. I think a lot of people are aware somehow. I am half deaf, and I've always got my hearing aid with me, and I've been listening to another part of the conversation, and someone else was trying to get in touch. I kind of like half heard the conversation, and it was Ligero, and he turned around and goes, "Oi, Mikey, deaf twat," and without missing a beat, I pulled my hearing aid straight out of my pocket, put it in my ear, and went, "Hmm?" And Trav fell out. He was starting to see. He was like wheezing, and he was going, "Little bit of wee." So it was shows like that when it got to, like I say, that's how we shook up the band from there. Just like as you go to more of these like more local shows, you tend to more local people, and just found myself getting on with him.
Yeah, anytime you took the mick out of legs, I always kind of got the impression he appreciated that. He always seemed to be the butt of a lot of jokes.
He was the butt. I got a lot of him as well. I dreaded looking at his Twitter feed at best times.
Trav's Twitter was hilarious. He hated me with the Twitter, with the Kris Travis day that he did not have a clue about when we did the first one. That was hilarious. He didn't have a clue that because he just announced he was retiring. And I just said, I just want to do something, put a smile on his face. And he always said he wanted to trend on Twitter. So I says, right, hashtag Kris Travis Day. Kept it on Facebook because he wasn't on Facebook, and just created this page. And we just went, right, if we got a picture, merchandise, anything. And then at 6:30 that morning, my phone went, "Oi!" I went, "Yeah." He says, "My phone's exploding here. Every 2 seconds, beep, 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 beep. What's going on?" I went, "What's the hashtag?" And he went, "Kris Travis Day." I went, "Congratulations, you're going to be trending on Twitter." 2 hours later, he was number 1. And Martin Kirby that day was a legend with all the pictures he put up. They were the best things I've ever seen. Everything. Everybody just went mental. Prince Devitt did it. Owens, everybody. Masters, X-Pac, everybody just went Kris Travis Day that day. I'll always remember that. That was the funniest. He gave me so much going. My phone's going to go into meltdown here. Every time it's ding, 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 ding. And it just went on for days. It was fantastic that day.
Yeah, funny enough, when you say about the pictures and everything like that, I get a message while this is going off. Don't you dare put that picture up. I had that video where it was me and Tommy Idol. We throw cold water in while we were in the bath. Obviously, it had to be censored. So I got one of the guys from the NCAA school to do an edit, and we were quite generous with the rooster size as well. And it's just like I finally put it up, and he goes, "I honestly can't believe you did that." Bearing in mind, it's the same guy who's probably done similar things to me. We was lowered a few times, actually got one over on him. Oh, he's got one over on me.
Speaks for you. You know what you're saying, like X-Pac, Masters, Owens, Devitt. You know, the guys that participated in that hashtag.
Yeah.
Basically, man, everyone that he's sort of been in the ring with or met, obviously left an impression.
I think.
Yeah, X-Pac went around his. Sorry, Dino. But X-Pac went around his house for a cuppa. Like we were in town, and he went around for a cuppa.
I'd love to have seen look on his face.
Just don't. Well, that's crazy. Yeah, that just speaks to me. That's the kind of stuff I love hearing about. Cause it's just kind of like, yes.
Nice. But the things with Kris were me. Everybody knows how we met. So, but seeing him in the ring just was another level. Another one at Huntingdon. It was a place where I had the picture took. He goes in the ring and it's full heel mode, full Kris mode, and I'm like, here we go again. He stands up on the edge of the ring and goes, right, I'm not wrestling. Promoter promised me a sellout. There's 5 front seats here, not occupied. I ain't wrestling. Just as he says that, this woman walks down with 4 kids and she goes, hurry up, get there. And he goes, oh, can we tell the time, love? And she went, why don't you just piss off? And he went, oh, language coming from a southerner. Aren't we blessed today? I went, and he just at that moment, this poor woman just arrived with her 4 kids. And she's like, hurry up, sit down. And Kris is like, oh, now we can continue. It's a sellout. It's just typical. It was just typical of him. But
What you said there about the other level, it's like just going like you mentioned earlier about some of your favourite matches. One of my personal favourites was him versus Kevin Owens. But I thought that was an absolutely fantastic match. But the reason it's a bit more of a favourite for me is because I kind of know a little bit of the backstory behind it from the Chav's perspective. Because if you went on his Twitter feed, he went on the fat man vibe at him. He's like he put the worst like Photoshop pictures of like Kevin seen outside like a Greg's and stuff like that. And he even put on the way up. He even pulled up to a McDonald's and saved everything just for the purpose of using it as a prop later. But as the thing that always makes me chuckle is as the journey progressed, the more nervous he got because it's like. I always saw him as super confident and stuff, but when he got to certain matches, he couldn't hide it, and I think he was worried at one point. But I thought he turned around and he said, "Do you think Steen's actually going to be mad at me?" He goes, "Why?" He goes, "I've been a bit stiff with bands," and I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm thinking, I'm not missing this chance. Yeah, probably kick your ass. And he just looked at me like doughy-eyed. But obviously the match itself was amazing, and obviously they became great friends from it. So it's like the ones I really enjoy is maybe other ones I do enjoy just for great matches. But there's the ones I find the best are the ones that I've got some sort of like my own little additional attachment to them. So if I know what he like meant for a certain match or something like that, it's I knew like with Devitt matches, like I knew he wanted to work Devitt like nobody's business, and it's so and so just like I said, seeing those type of matches always had that extra on for me because I knew how much that meant to him.
Yeah, I always find that he always had the Kai caliber matches. Like if anybody was coming over from the States, whether it be Steen, Masters, or Thomas Ciampa, or there's a Mikey almost got my name when I got his name wrong, and he went, "What did you just say?" And I couldn't say Thomas Ciampa, and I kept Ciampa or whatever it was. I just couldn't say it. So he ridiculed me that for the whole of spandex for that day for that one. But it's like every time you saw Kris, it was always with these guys and everything, and he does. I mean, I'll always remember seeing Ciampa versus Kris in St. Neots, and I'm like, look where he is now. I'm like, you can't help but think. I mean, if would have been another world where Kris would have been now, and it just mind blows that all these people that was here years ago, and look where they are now, and they just think Kris would have been there with him easily.
Oh yeah.
Social media and anything I'm talking about him is he would have been blowing up NXT. He would have been main roster by now, I reckon. Yeah, it's just kind of it sucks because it's kind of like he would have.
So I always look at it. It's like how well would have Cheeky Trav handled a Vince McMahon?
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine all your Vincisms with a Cheeky Trav?
Can you imagine him getting Kris into a suit because he always wore them t-shirts with low V was showing his chest off. Travis, you're in a suit from now on. Give over. No, I'm in my beanie out and my t-shirt.
Yeah, you could see it, couldn't you? All like the Dave Meltzer reports and stuff like that. Rumored Kris Travis he seemed to be wearing a beanie, not a suit.
Yeah, turns up in the WrestleMania with the Super Mario t-shirt on. Yeah. Oh.
T-shirt on PCW.
What was that? Sorry, mate.
Well, that PCW anniversary. Sorry, I'm rocking that a few times. Whenever he's at a show down this way, he always generally had that PCW t-shirt on.
Oh God, yeah. The famous Travis. Yeah. That's one of the Brit wrestling designs of all time. That was like it was just so simple, but at the same time, you just knew what it was straight away. Yeah. I've tried to get spandex in a way, doing a soccer and spandex design in that way. Can't do it. Just can't do it. No matter how hard I try, just can't get it. And I'm like, no, I best leave it. No. So.
Yeah, it took me 3 years to try and sew up the courage to try and get the Mario idea. I've always had it in the back pocket, and it's just like I never got round to it. And said, Zeno, who do you reckon will be doing it? He goes, Nick's good at it. And I'm like, oh yeah, Nick does those great pictures. I'm like, so Nick, you do this, and it was just as easy as that. And I'm like, we've been saying this for freaking years.
Oh, the ones we've had with spandex, every single one of my ideas, and Lynn, my wife will say, I said, all right, I'm just going to toilet, love. She went, all right, I'll wait for your ideas when you come off at toilet. And I'm like, what? And I've come up every year of spandex. There's been an idea. This one, every single one of them. I've been sat on the toilet and all of a sudden, boom, there we go. Got the idea. And it's come straight out. Stars on it. Every idea was come from my toilet. And I don't know why, but that's the central.
The epiphany chair. Epiphanies. Or a toilet is that every man knows that about a toilet. It's where you go to have ideas.
Yeah. I'll have to get I've had to put a pad and pen in there now. Just like, oh, okay, here we go.
That could be fraught with danger.
Oh God, yeah, definitely danger. No, so no, this gentleman's got me. When we met up last year, well, year before last for Dirty Sanchez night, planning one more round, and he says, "Are you going to be in the Rumble then?" And I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And every time at one more round, I always end up doing something, and I always do it. It's one of the funniest things a lot. Ask T-Bone about me announcing. That's all I can say about that. I don't stutter, but two one more rounds in a row, same guy. I'm in the ring, and I'm going, and it's Joseph Connors versus T-Bone, and I'm like, I've introduced him first, Joseph Connors, and his opponent Tyson T-Bone, and I'm like, and he gives me the dirtiest look every time, and I'm like, why can't I just say T-Bone just once? I'm never announcing him again. Never doing it.
Just say T-Bone, just cut it short. Just T-Bone, that's it.
Oh, don't know where it comes from. I just do not know where it comes from to this day. I don't know, but every time I've done announcing since, I'm going, please, no T-Bone on the card. Please, no T-Bone.
See, when everything settles back down, you're going to be announcing again somewhere down the line, aren't you? I would have thought.
Hopefully. I did Full House Wrestling last year. Called Terry Is-It Isaac. Couldn't even say a 4-letter name. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was great fun. It's just
I
getting
can talk. I can talk. It's nothing trap related, but I can put your mind at ease about some. I've heard the announcing things. I've heard some of the announcers proper make some horrible clangers with wording. There was a guy, I think he was from like UKW and stuff like that, who was called the Great Naga, like a mass wrestler, and it was a guy called Andy Kane who used to do the ring announcing for a lot of the shows I used to in the early years. And he comes out, crowd is punch, and he goes, introducing the Great Naja. And I'm like, did I hear that right? I'm always like, is this my deaf ears playing up on me? And he's like, yeah, he just called him a Naja.
Do you remember?
Not as bad as it could have been. Not as bad as it could have been.
Yeah. Mikey, do you remember at PCW, the tribute, the charity show, when you had the Battle Royal and Keith Myatt came out as Deirdre Barlow and she died the week before? This is the best one. All of a sudden, Keith Myatt comes out as Deirdre Barlow. She died a week before, the actress. He gets eliminated from the Royal Rumble, and the announcer goes, and for the second time in a week, Deirdre Barlow's been eliminated. We just went, did we just hear that? What? And you can see Fludder going,
No.
Yeah, he's getting a cease and desist from Corey for that one.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, every time I did, I think the only times I did PCW was when Kris was there. First one was the Bull Rope match when he headlined it with T-Bone, and the Young Bucks was there. Bang for your buck. And you got the Young Bucks and they did this Bull Rope match, and Kris told me a story about it, which was hilarious. And he says he got a blade to hide for that because he wanted to cut himself. So he says the effect would be great. He says me hanging from the rafter, from the stairs, being the bull rope and all the blood pouring out, it'd have been great. So they're having a battle and they're going all the way around the nightclub. And all of a sudden he says, watch it back. And I says, why? He goes, watch it back and see me and T-Bone. Every time one of us hits us, the other one hits on the floor and his hands are going all over the floor. And I went, what's going on? He says, I lost the blade. He says, couldn't find it. He says, no matter what we did, he said, we looked all over that we were saying, every time we go on the floor in that nightclub, hands on the floor and looking for this blade, they couldn't find it. But always remember that one. That was my first time at PCW. It was great fun. Loved it.
There was one spot, hopefully I'm not making this up, but we kind of ran up the wall.
Yeah.
Like all up the wall and flip off. That was against T-Bone, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah. The finish of the match is like, there's an entrance. I mean, if everyone's been a PCW, there's an entrance where you walk down the stairs into what was the nightclub, because it's shut down now because it's all damp and everything. It's been condemned, I think. All I remember is there was T-Bone and Rampage and Bubblegum as team single. And then they wrapped the rope round Trav's neck and they lifted him off the ground. And T-Bone was on the stairs. And you just saw this visual, Kris being lifted off the ground with this bull rope. And I'm like, what? And you just see him tap out and everything and say, right, T-Bone's the new champion. But wow, it was just like, what a visual to see someone hung up in the air. And they're like, wow, you could see kids going, what's this?
Yeah, I always love watching Trav and Bell. They always have great matches. Trav and Lionheart as well. They always.
Yeah, I think when the comeback match, when you had Trav and Shay Samuels, and you saw the promos and everything, and then Lionheart was there that night. It was just like them two were destined to be on there on the same night. It was just awesome to watch the whole lot. I mean, Drew McIntyre was there, and oh god, there were half the NXT roster that was there now. Samoa Joe, you had the War Machine, and then you had all the other guys there. But Everybody was there for Kris that night. Always that pop when he came out, nothing will ever beat it. Nothing.
Oh, I don't know the pop thing. I encourage everyone to seek out Project Ego versus Hot Blooded Males on the Phoenix events page.
Yeah,
because that was another good one. And I got a copy of the Blu-ray of the show, and I thought, okay, turn it up. It's fine. Then the pop came through. The pop was that loud. It actually cancelled out my soundbar. I had to turn it back on. But if you listen to it on YouTube, it's like that is one of the few times where I think the recording of somebody's probably actually done it justice, because that was a tremendous pop.
Yeah. Do you remember that when we flooded him and we had that word with Shay Samuels telling him to go around the ring the opposite way from where he was going? Because nobody had told me what he said in the promo, and I'd lost it, and I'd lost my rag, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? Because he came out, because they did the build-up, and Shay Samuels says, why don't you just go home and wait for your cancer to return? And I just went, shoot, red rag, had a few beers. What? Where is he? Where is he now? And everyone's going, oh God, Dino's losing it. And I'm going, bring him now. Bring him. And it comes out, goes the opposite way. Afterwards, Kris went, what was that about with Shay Samuels? I went, yeah. He goes, says, opposite way round. I says, yeah. He says, who do you think told him to say that in the ring? I went, yeah, I get that now. And Shay Samuels came out and he went, oh, you were the reason, was you? I went, I felt so sheepish. I was like that big. I always felt like that. But that was one night I was so happy to get absolutely hammered out of my skull.
No, I've had a similar kind of story, but a different time. It was when he was. This was at the 1PW days with Kevin Thorner, and Trav seems to have a strange habit. It seems to be a theme occurring when I tell this one. He puts, I think it was. I'm trying to remember what the comment was. It was something on Facebook. There were a guy. I think his name was Dan White, who was like helping promote for a local promotion there, and he was like being like the agent for a couple of the Americans. So like one of the Basham brothers, Kevin Thorne, and stuff like that. And Trevor just put like a jokey comment. He goes, and if you want real value for money or something to that effect, book Kris Travis. Kevin Thorne went nuclear over that. And they did the 1PW show. They're the great mates now, but I think there's no way of dancing around it. Kevin Thorne took a few liberties with Trav that night, including doing like a razor's edge off the stage onto the floor, not telling him. They still became, I need to emphasise this, they still became great mates. So they were doing a show with Trav and Kirby versus Dragonizu and Thorne, yeah, sorry, the vodka's kicking in. But I like everything in that match. They were the only time I've been worked that much into a match, and I've got the DVD somewhere, and you could hear this Yorkshire voice just out of nowhere go, fucking nutting Trav, it with me, and I'm like the sound of my own voice. Or there was what was it, at Travade? So I stood around Travade. Trav was around the merchandise table the entire time, and I wasn't in the room when they did the show plan, and I didn't know what the plan was. But so it's can't remember what the match was, but I know Bubblegum and Joey Hayes. I think Kirby might be involved in it. But as they're coming out for this match, Trav whispers to me, "Don't nut Pip," and I'm like, "What?" And then they proceed to do a whole angle where it pushes him and all that kind of stuff at the thing, and I'm like, I saw a red right there, and then I'm like, "Oh, it's I'm in work. Don't do anything. Don't do anything." So yeah, he always did try to give me the Iggy, because I think he knew I would probably deck somebody if I didn't get the Iggy. Yeah. But I think he enjoyed working us both at the same time.
That's the one show I missed, and that's the biggest regret I've got in British wrestling. That is the one time I missed because my wife wouldn't let me go because I had chemo. I had my chemo 2 days before, and I was out with it, and I was crying. I'm filling up now still because it's the one show I'd have given anything to be at, and I couldn't go.
Yeah, I would gutted as well, mate. I was coming from a knee injury. I would have loved to have been on it. Flutter had offered us to do the Battle Royal at that one of their shows, and again, in hindsight, I wish I did it, but yeah, there are a few regrets here and there, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But yeah.
I've got a funny one about when we had his treatments. Everybody remembers. We all just remember the side effects. And he messaged me out of the blue, and he says, "Have you got this side effect?" And I says, "What?" And he says, "Your farts smell the same all the time." I went, "Yeah." He says, "I would give anything for a steamy fart that smells different to the one I've got at this moment." I'm like, "Yeah, I would as well." And he says, "These side effects are doing me nothing. They really are." He says, "I've had enough." And he says, and he goes, "I'd give anything." And then taste buds went, and he's going, "Is your taste buds?" And it always seemed to happen at the same time with the pair of us. I mean, I had a couple of treatments before him, but every 2 minutes it was like, "Have you having these side effects?" And it's how we started. I sent the message, the famous message that said he announced he was having it, and then I sent a message and I went, "I've just had my second treatment. If there's anything you want to know, message me." So he messaged me back, question, "When does the hair fall out? That's all I want to know. When does my hair fall out?" And I went 2 weeks after the first treatment. And then we swapped stories about how we found out his hair was falling out, which was just funny as hell. Yeah, it was just silly things. The photographs that we sent when we're having the treatments, everything like that. It was something I'll always treasure, always.
You mentioned the hair. I asked him, obviously, he told me that for now, I'll be a super sensitive friend. Like, "You feeling okay, bud?" and stuff like that. Goes, "Mate, it's fucking horrible." He like proper drummed it up in this message for a good solid minute. "Oh, it's the worst thing ever. I look like a Mikey Van Riot tribute act."
Is it true that he went out with you guys around Sheffield and you all got Christmas jumpers on and woolly hats, and this girl stole his hat, and he went, "Excuse me, do you mind? I want my hat back." And she wouldn't give him back until he says, "I'm having cancer." And then she went, "Oh no," and gave her his hat back, and he went, "Yeah, thank you." Put it back on his head.
That's what stopped it, because I've got us all those Christmas hats. They were Christmas pudding hats. I've still got them. And he went letting go of that one.
I think I've never seen anybody go crazy with the nightclubs when he got announced it. He just says, "I'm going on the drunk. I'm getting drunk, me." And I was there going, "Oh no, I can't have alcohol." And he's out there getting hammered. And I'm like, "What?" And when he did the famous picture about him being back in the gym after about 2 weeks, and you saw the difference. And then one side of him was before the gym, and then he'd been in the gym a couple of weeks. And he was like, "Wow, look at that." And everybody just went crazy on him now.
I remember talking to him about that. I was sort of trying to push for him to release like some sort of fitness DVD, get some promotion to because he'd managed to get in such good shape. He
was teetering on doing that at certain times. He did go to college and do various bits of like personal trainer stuff. This was probably prior to the cancer and everything, but it was something he was trying to do, and he was. So yeah, every time I think of something, I think of a scenario attached to it. But I had this week off for my birthday, and Charles said, "What are you doing this day?" And I'm like, "Nothing. Do you want to come up to gym with me and Reigns to?" Sorry, another one's coming to me. I'll tell you them both, but. So I went up to the gym and stuff, and gave us a good workout, showed us all these different things to wear. And I'm actually generally awe of Reigns. And because he had these massive, and I mean massive plates on, and he was lifting up, and I'm like, he dogs are hot when he wants to be. And I'm like, Trav comes and whispers in my ears, "Look at the numbers." And these massive plates, which are like the size of lids, he'd only been lifting like 40 kgs. I'm there thinking he's doing like 100 on each side, and it's like, turns out I've been lifting more than him the entire session. but he'd just been working with these massive plates. that was typical Reigns.
Yeah.
I could not mention Reigns without mentioning the only time I've ever got an angry message from Trav. I hope this one can make it. So we'd had another legendary club night out, and I've got a few of those if you want to hear them at some point. But we'd had a club night out, and we're a bit worse to wear, and toilet paper. You can fill in the blanks there yourself. So we had to make do with a copy of Power Slam magazine, which those lovely glossy sheets. It was traumatic for everybody who had to do that. And then we went off went to a show together. What Trav were on, went our separate ways. Then Trav went down to another show, and then he didn't get back until Monday. I get a message off of Trav, and he goes, "Mikey," he's like in big bold capitals, "What have you fucking done?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I feel guilty." I'm like, "What have I done?" And he goes, "Did you wipe your ass on my Back to the Future t-shirt?" And I'm like, "No, I used the Power Slam magazine." And then he's like, "Who would it?" And he's like, "Who would have done it?" And he's like, "I'm getting." And so the WhatsApp messages are popping up, and the typos coming up because we're on like connect, and he's tapping away. And he goes, "Motherfucker, it was Reigns." Yeah, well, the reason he thought it was me is because Reigns told Trav it was me, and he was traumatized about that Back to the Future t-shirt. It was his favorite shirt.
Oh, God. I think one of the best ones I remember. He'd been picked to play for Sheffield Wednesday against Sheffield United in Hillsborough Park, a part of this charity event, Reds versus Blues. And he told me for weeks that he'd always been picked for Sheffield United, and I went, "But you're an owl. How can you play for them?" He says, "I know, I'm having words." So I went and got him. I got us a pair of Sheffield Wednesday shirts and with cancer kicker on the back. So I presented it to him before the match. And he went, "Oh, I'm putting this on straight away." And he's walking around with us, both of us with matching Wednesday shirts on. And then he says, "Have you seen who I'm playing with?" And I says, "No." And he went, "Lee Peacock." I went, "What?" And he went, "He's my hero." He says, "I'm playing with Lee Peacock." And I went, "Oh, okay, fair enough." Just goes in the changing, gets in this room where everybody's meeting up and shaking hands. And Chris is getting there. Lee Peacock walks in, and all I see is Chris going, "Lee fucking Peacock! Lee fucking Peacock!" And I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, it's Lee fucking Peacock." And Lee Peacock come over and he went, "Hiya," and he's going, and I'm going, and I had to grab his hand to stop it shaking, and he's going, "Lee fucking Peacock." So every time we've had that in wrestling, it's been Lee effing Peacock. To this day, whenever I saw Lee a couple of years later, I went, "Lee." He went, "Yes, I know, Lee effing Peacock. Everybody's been calling it me now." He says, "British wrestling have took me to their hearts or something." I went, "Sorry, that's me." That he says, he says, "I'll always miss him." And he just asked me, he asked for one of my wristbands. I remember that day. And he says, "Give me that wristband now." He says, "I want that." And I says, "Okay, there you go." And he was another one that through Chris did something for Cavendish Cancer Care. So Lee Peacock then did a cycle ride all the way around France, and he did it for them through meeting Chris. So Chris had a big effect on his hero in Sheffield Wednesday as well. But I always remember that day. And he dived for the penalty. He played the game, dived for the penalty and got it, convinced the ref. And he's going, I went, "Look at that. He had to bleeding convince the ref for the penalty as well." And he come off and he went, "Hey, did you see the dive?" Everybody did. Huh, ref didn't. And it was Euro Rennie, ex-Premier League ref. And he went, "Oh, yeah, penalty straight away." So, typical Chris.
Yeah, Cavendish obviously is a big part that's majority where I know your money goes to Dino. You want a quick shout out? Just what from money from one more round? Does that go to Cavendish or is that split elsewhere as well?
Cavendish, past couple of ones we've done Cavendish. We have had discussions before about doing it for some other ones, but generally it tends to go to Cavendish.
So obviously, I know Kris was a spokesperson from one or an advocate or whatever the wording is.
Yeah.
Patreon.
Yeah.
You were very proud. You were definitely very proud of that.
Yeah. Never seen anybody work so hard in my life for a charity as what Kris did. It was just every single day. It was like, what can I do for him? What can I do for him? Even when this guy's in bed with he's having his chemo, what can I do for him? What else can I do for Cavendish? Always on the go with it every single time. I mean, we've done it for 2 charities. I mean, the first spandex, we did it for Chris's family. We split the money between Chris's family and Cavendish. And then the next few years, it's been charities. It's been close to my heart. Sheffield Children's Hospital, Sheffield Main Cap, St. Luke's. But made a decision that from now on, it's just Cavendish that's doing it. Everything's just going towards to Cavendish now. So I'm having football kits done with just Cavendish Cancer Care on the front. So having it that way. So that's
awesome.
Yeah. I think with Johnny at Cavendish said it at the last spandex about how much money that through British wrestling, that through Kris, that they'd actually raised, and he said that it was over £30,000, and that was like 2020. So 2019. So we're touching nearly 40,000. So easy. And
yeah, the whole didn't he did like a whole speech, sort of saying how much money and everything like that.
Yeah. In between the rainstorms.
Oh, bless you! You had a ball of a day that day, didn't you?
God, that was that. I think the worst stress I've had was the first spandex because I didn't know what I was doing, and then the last one because it just rained. It just completely just rained all the way down from start to finish, and I'm like, oh, and everybody didn't care. They just went, we'll go on, we'll play. Don't worry about it. We're fine. Let's go. And I'm like, what?
So I was just stood there. I couldn't run. I couldn't move on the grass. Every time I thought to run, I just fell over.
I think the spirit of spandex got summed up with one person that year. He paid his £5 to play football, and he went on the pitch and he just looked straight at me and he went, "I'm playing football with Joe Connors and T-Bone." I went, "Yeah." He goes, "I've only just watched him on WWE Network. Oh my God!" And he was made up completely. And he went, "This is amazing," and I get a T-shirt, and I'm like. That summed up spandex for me. That just one bit. That was it.
Mike, I'll tell you what sums up for me. It's just I think it might be the second one. And it was a lovely day, absolutely lovely day. And they would have a professional photographer down.
Oh God, yeah.
The guy's fiddling with his camera and he's turning flash on. And man to out missing the beat goes, "What are you doing messing about with your flash on? The one we stay here." And the poor bloke, honestly, if looks could have killed, Manson would drop dead on the spot. That I never seen such a begrudged photographer.
Yeah, we've been blackballed by the Star ever since. I can't go back to the Star. Just every year, Manson does something. I mean, first year, Manson told him and Ashton Smith, as soon as T-Bone gets the ball, that's it. 20-man pylon. Gets the ball, watched it, boom. There's a great picture of Manson just going for his head and everything, and then just all this big pylon. I'm like, and referee stood there. This referee ain't got a clue. And he goes, "Who do I send off?" And I went, "Nobody. Just let him go. Just let him go." It's absolute mental day. Just Manson makes it. Even when you do it, when we're doing the raffles and we got the pictures up, and he says, and we've got a picture of British Strong Style Pete Dunne, and Manson went, "Oh gee, better not tell Pete Dunne that's here. Oh my God, he will flip out." And he's working the whole place with Pete Dunne, and I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And everyone's going, "Has he got beef with Pete Dunne? Has Pete Dunne got a beef with Manson?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's just Manson, isn't it? It's just typical."
Last year as well, they had a signed picture of the bar. So you had Cesaro and obviously Sheamus on this picture. And as I was around, Mads, I was literally stood quite close to him, and I just heard him sort of say, I think it was to Ashton, I was saying, "Oh, that dude fucking owes me for his career. I ain't buying his picture." Like, wow, there we go.
I always love seeing Manson, soccer and spandex or one more around because there literally is no filter, and especially some of the newer local guys who, some of them aren't that aware of Manson. because he's only been retired for a couple of years before some of these newer people's time.
So, yeah, Manson's off the wall. I think Mikey's frozen. Yes, he's back. Yeah, Manson at Spandex. I think this is the true story now. Manson is responsible for soccer and spandex. He's the reason for it. He came up with the reason saying, when are you going to come and see me? And he said it to Kris on Twitter. And he said, and him and Kris were talking, and they said, we should get a football match just for wrestlers. And I went, oh, there we go. He goes, yeah, we'll have heels versus faces. And I'm like, and nothing ever came of it. And then Kris Cancer came back. And he just said, yeah. When are you going to come and see me? And then it just twigged again. And I just said, I've got to do something here. And I think Kris was wanting a scooter at the time. He wanted a mobility scooter. And I just said, let's raise money. And I made a vow to my wife that year. No charity, no fundraising. 2016, no fundraising. Lasted 6 weeks. And I went, okay, here we go. And Soccer and Spandex. The name comes from Steve Evans of Future Pro Wrestling down south. He's the one that gave us the name. But Manson, in roundabout way, is responsible for Soccer and Spandex. Don't tell him. He'll be wanting royalties on all the t-shirts, but he's in a roundabout way responsible.
Any Travis Manson wind-up stories?
Oh,
I don't think anything that could make it.
I've got one from Rob Maltman, which was one of the funniest ones I've ever known. It was Speed King at Nottingham, and Rob Maltman had just signed with Southside, and he was doing the backstage interviews, and he came round the front, and he's going, Travis, the bastard, and I went, what? And he says, I hate him. And I goes, wow, what's happened? He says, I've just been doing an interview with Jigsaw with mask on his face and everything. He says, and I've got Jigsaw in front of me. He says, and I'm interviewing him, and all I can hear behind me is. And I'm like, I said, what is that sound? I look to my right, Martin Kirby's on the floor, hysterical. His tears down his face. And I'm interviewing Jigsaw, and he's got a mask on, so I can't see his face. And then keep going. And he says, right, I'm turning round. Turns round. He sees Kris completely naked to hell, jumping up and down. And it's his manhood going. Maltman went, I completely ran out the door. And I just went. And as soon as he said that, I hit the deck. I was in tears. I went, no way. That is just the best story I've ever heard. And he's going, I hate him. I hate him so much. And then Trav went out about 5 minutes later and had a great match with Haskins. And he came out and somebody was chanting Justin Bieber. And he's in a hold with Haskins and somebody's chanting Justin Bieber. And he went, hold on a minute. I'll have you know that Justin Bieber is a very respectable artist. Let's continue. And went back into the hold. Just no matter what he did, he just always had that audience in the palm of his hand, no matter where he was. He was just amazing doing it. Some of the stories, just that will always tickle me. Rob Maltman tells it better. Rob refuses to say it on anything. And every time Rob does an interview, I say, ask him about the Travis story at Speed King. Ask him. And he goes, no, I'm not telling it. No. But one of the funniest stories of all time.
His filter was rarely, if ever, on. You could trust Trout with your deepest, most personal secrets. But if it was funny, you would not.
Yeah.
So if it was a funny one, you were doomed. I can tell you one. An example would be. I already pre-warned this person I was going to tell this story, so I've taken my name off to save embarrassment. But one of the other wrestlers was at like college, uni going age, and he'd been a bit promiscuous, and he'd not listened to the immortal line of "Don't be a fool, rap your tool," and he had to take there's no nicer way to say it. This person had got crabs from this girl, and we hadn't seen him for ages. And it's like, where you been? And it's like, oh, this girl gave me crabs. And it's like, that's all we thought anything of it. And then we were at Corp on one of the legendary Corp nights out. And he goes, I nearly said that person's name. We'll just call him unnamed person number 1. Unknown person number 1. Went down and he points to this girl and he goes to me and goes, that's that girl again. And we're out missing the beach. Trav walks up, and bearing in mind it's this corporation, and I am deaf as a post. He walks up to her and he goes, "Did you give my mate crabs?" And then he proceeds to point at unknown person number 1. And I look, and I kid you not, if life was a cartoon, there was like a cloud of where he once was. It was like a blur. He just ran off. And we didn't see him for another good hour. And then the rest of that night, for a good solid hour, that girl was, I think she was aware of who it was herself. And so she was prowling the grounds trying to find him, and he was hiding from her. That was an example of some of the legendary Corp nights out.
Yeah. It would have, when he did the return at Sheffield for ICW, when ICW did that famous their first one at the O2 Academy, and he said, "Oh yeah, doing this," and he was wearing them the famous skinny jeans he always wore, and he goes, I says, "Are you doing out today?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm going in the ring. I'm super kicking in them. How the hell are you gonna do?" He goes, "If they split, they'll be fine." And he just went in the ring, super kicked. That was it. Boom, went out. That was it. The place went mental. That was one of them.
It's funny you should mention the skinny jeans, because I've seen many an amusing sight in those skinny jeans. This is an absolute. I love telling everyone this one. So yeah, fortunately, when we have been out on some nights out, sometimes things have kicked off, which it's half its comedy in its own, because Trav trying to get involved or direct traffic in skinny jeans is hilarious. But the one in many a time he complained about nearly doing himself a mischief in them. And anyway, this one particular, I've been also. I need to try and tell a bit of a backstory to it. Trav is always someone, if he got into a scrap, he always had his friends back. Well, like I say, started to get to be friends with a lot of his non-wrestling friends, his school friends and his friends from around where we were born. I don't know where the story comes from, but someone told me about Windmill Trav. And that Windmill Trav is when he's had a few too many beers and all he can literally do is Windman punch. And so we were at Corp. It seemed like a perfectly normal night out, and this lad had been a bit disrespectful to one of our female friends, and I called him out on it, told him to stop being a knob. But he tried to push me. I could see it were coming, so as he pushed me, he didn't move me an inch. I pushed him, and he flew across the floor into about 5 of his mates. And honestly, it's like a cartoon. 5 of those mates just disappeared out of nowhere in front of me, and I'm like, oh. Great. And then all of a sudden they're piling on to me. And as I'm trying to get out of this pile on, and as I'm looking around, I can see Trav approaching me. And it's probably all happened in the space of 10 seconds. But this happened in a minute, in my mind, it happened in a minute, because as it's approaching me, it's like, oh God, he's struggling with the skinny jeans. He's really trying, oh no, he's windmilling. Oh no, he's windmilling. And he proceeded to punch me 4 times before he even landed a punch on any of these other lads. And they all kicked off at scrap. We got kicked out, nothing of it. Woke up next day, huge bruise under my eye, and he goes, "Oh, what happened there?" I goes, "You fucking did that." And he was like, "What?" Windmill Trav. And he just went, "Sorry." But yeah, honestly, it happened in slow motion. I say, it would have literally been a few seconds, but I had a chance to assess. He's running like a wounded gazelle. Oh, he's windmilling. Oh my God, he's going to hit me. He's going to hit me first. He's hitting me. I think that's probably what threw those lads off, because they probably thought he wanted to fight me at first. And yeah, he kicked me a good 4 times. Before he even started on with them.
I remember, I think one of the best ones I got with members when they were all over Facebook, and it was like Travis gone home with the belt. He's not being paid for his show, so he's nicked the person's belt and he's gone home with it. And like, I'm like, hey, what? And it just went all over. It was all over Facebook. One of the famous promotions in Yorkshire that I'm not going to mention because.
What I'll do for you, Dino, so you don't get in trouble for him. We'll just call this guy Eden Bowler.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. And all
so
we
had said his name, so he's not going to pop up like a candy man out of nowhere.
He's yeah. And all I remember is that everybody was saying there were 6 people there, and he didn't pay Kris, so Kris went, right, I'm nicking the belt, and don't know whether it was true or not, but the rumor was that Kris had took the belt on with him as payment, and he weren't going to get it. And I'm like, oh, here we go. just thing to something was, oh, has he told it? I just told it. And like, it's the other ones. I mean, British wrestling at its best, isn't it? You just couldn't make it up.
It just goes back to the skinny jeans, because a bit of the story about you might know, Edan decided to try and fight Trav. And Trav, we were trying to like shoo him off in his skinny jeans, like trying to keep him at distance by shooing him off. Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh dear. Yeah. There was some stories of legend with Mr. Edan.
Did you remember what I gave him as a wedding present to Whitney?
Oh, what were it?
Original Xbox with 2 games.
Oh, so
he had all these consoles. It's his fault. I'm into the gaming. It's his fault. I'll say it until the day I go. It's Kris Travis's fault. So I said, what consoles have you got? So he's going through the list, and I went, you ain't got an original Xbox? And he went, no, I haven't. I went, sort it out. Went on eBay and bought one. And it came with a couple of games, a couple of controllers. And I went up to one more round when we had it. I think it was the first one or something. And then I think Andy took the stuff off me and went to Kris. And then I got a message off Kris saying, oh, thanks, mate. Love it. Well done. And then I got another message from Whitney going, yeah, where's my present? And I went, it's got 2 controllers. What more are you asking for? And she went, I do not want to play Tony Hawk's bloody Pro Skater, thank you very much. And I'm like, oh, okay. I made a point of getting the one where he had his theme song on it. So I made a point of it like that. So it was just brilliant, yeah. But yeah, he's the reason I got into the gaming. I'll never forgive him for it.
I remember asking him about music and he said Tony Hawk's 3. I was like,
Every time I play that game and it comes on, I just go, there we go. It's like when he did the interview on my thing, and I was just like, and he just says, I said, what are you doing at the moment? He goes, I'm just on the sofa watching the football. He says, I've got a couple of bets on it. I'm like, are you winning your bets? No, pigs have done it again to me. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Him and his betting on his Twitter always used to be funny. His Twitter feed had got to be the best one you've ever seen of all time. There's always something funny happening on that. Always.
Yeah, especially at me. The Amsterdam trip. I'll never forget. Honestly, if he weren't laughing to the point he was, I could have probably strangled him there and then. So we were staying. Sure, the video is still there. So we're staying at this cheap. I don't even would even call it like a hostel, but you just had like a room and be on the floor. The toilet and the shower room was like communal for like the 3 other rooms on the floor. So obviously, being lazy, Ray's decided to take a leak in the sink, and it's like, I'm like, I'm going to do that now because I can't be bothered to either. I don't. So minding my own business. I can just see like a little giggle happening under it. I look round, I turn round, there's Trav filming me, having a tiddling sink, and Ryan Lee, who made a great video of it where because the expression on my face, because I was half cut, half asleep, and I looked like Claude Greengrass out of Heartbeat, and Ryan had dubbed over the music into it for that video. It was it's somewhere, if you go on Travis feed, it is there somewhere, and I could have strangled him right then.
Has it Ryan that's got the star tattoo, the famous video with him where the tattoo is with the with it on his bum? Is that it?
Oh, that's a brilliant one in itself. So where I live, about 5 minutes down the road, is a tattoo shop. It's Smooth Places. It's still what I go to. I thought we all agreed it was myself, Ryan Lee, Joey D, Dave Don Black, and Nick Mason. We all agreed to go and have one. In fact, that's that one there. So I said to her, I reckon I could get us a discount for going as a group. So naturally, cheapskate wrestlers, they're like, great, discount. We're going, there's no discount. So we're going through it, and the tattoo artist, Chris, was like, said, okay, where are you having them? I'm like, I'm having mine here. Nick's had one himself before, so he's like on the wrist. Everyone else was a tattoo virgin. Dirtbag, I got one on his shoulder, which is a good, sensible place to have your first tattoo. Then the rest of them just went down south. Joe had wanted one on his stomach, which is one of the more painful places to have one. Dom had one on his foot, and that was terrifying to see because Dom had the hairiest feet I've ever seen in this house. So when Dom had his there, and so he's going around us, and he comes to Ryan and goes, where are you having yours? And Ryan has been joking the entire way down, I'm going to have it on my arse. He said very proudly, I'm going to have it on my arse. And Chris, the tattoo artist's eyes light up, and he goes, if he has it on his arse, I'm like a fire for all your tattoos. And I think by that point, it dawned on Ryan, what have I done? And to make it worse for himself, everybody else went first before Ryan. And this is the thing that was really poignant about it. As this is all about to happen, the radio in the background is playing, and Blink comes on, and we all looked at each other, and we were like, "He's watching this." And for a tattoo that probably only took less than 10 minutes to do, it was the most hilarious 10 minutes of my life because he was literally tears streaming out. I could. You're like holding on to Joe's arm. I will be so sympathetic. It was the best thing, and to make it worse, as soon as they all finished, Chris the tattoo artist again not missing his beat, slapped Ryan's arse on the tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Ryan, that traumatized him. I don't think Ryan would ever have another tattoo after that. That day traumatized.
To be fair, gentlemen, I'm going to call it because we've been talking for a while. But I do want to invite you back closer to when Soccer and Spandex and One More Round happens. Since you've got the dates locked down.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Both of you come back on. We'll continue this conversation. It's going to be one match to be done in one show. Personally, I think there's that much stuff to talk about. It's going to be continued. So yeah, we'll leave people more.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for having us on.
Just that one thing I do want to show you, Nick. I did promise you a little bit of an exclusive. Dino being on this, so I want to see Dino's reaction. So I am going to, obviously, barring on lockdown regulations and everything like that, find out what's happening in the world as we go along. But my intention, as we go back to full normal, is to start my own wrestling promotion. I've spoke with Trav's family, and provisionally the name of the company is going to be called Shooting Star Pro. That's pretty much as far as I've got with it so far. And there's lots of bits and bobs to work out. But I thought, if I'm going to be running things on myself, I cannot do it without paying tribute to the boyo. So I don't know when it's going to be. I'm not going to, again, promise any dates or times, but going forward, sometime in the future, I will be starting shows called Shooting Star Pro. And hopefully, Dino would like to announce the first show. And I'll try and see if I can get T-Bone on to see if he can say his name right.
It would be an honour and a privilege. It would be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, next time we have you on, it might be obviously back to normality
Yeah.
about it, and we can keep us updated every time we speak about what's going on.
All right, fella.
And, yeah, man, I'll do what I can do to help with that. Promote it and on social media and on the show and stuff as well, because that's all. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you for sharing stories. Thank you so much.
I don't think we're going to get in trouble with any of these, are we?
No, shouldn't do. No.
It's a big mess.
Yeah.
Range might get mad and move back to the
well. Thanks, fellas. Thanks ever so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Our friends over at Powered 4 TV are giving listeners to this podcast an incredible 50% off your first month when you sign up to powered4.tv and use the promo code JONNERS. Powered 4 TV are one of the leading on-demand streaming services in the UK, with tons of shows from over 20 wrestling promotions from around the UK and the US, including TNT Extreme, Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, DNA Pro Wrestling, Full Force Wrestling, Ignite Wrestling, and so many more. There's also plenty more to enjoy, including an incredible archive of classic matches, live layers with William Eva, podcasts, and so much more. Sign up to Powered 4 TV today and save 50% off your first month. Just use the promo code JONNERS.